For our grade 2 performance today, our speeches will be around 2 to 3 minutes long. And our first contestant will be Aria.
Hello everyone, my name is Aria. My speech is If I Was a Teacher. Do you think being a teacher is easy? No, I watch my teacher writing on the whiteboard and checking all the books every day. And I think it looks like hard work. My teacher, Teacher Lee, is one of the most popular teachers at school, and many students love her class. She's been at our school for many years and has lots of interesting ways of teaching, so I hope to learn from her. One thing I noticed is that before she starts teaching a lesson, she checks to make sure the classroom is clean. But how will children know how to keep it clean? First, I need to teach them how to use a mop and broom. Teaching young children can be really hard. Perhaps older children will know what a mop is and how to use it, right? When I think about being a teacher, I know I'll need to set some classroom rules like no fighting, no touching other things, and no saying bad words. It's important to show them how to use tools correctly and to be kind to each other. This way, when they grow up, they can still have good attitude towards classmates and teachers. I hope that every student can try their best to eventually reach with their full potential. If I could pick any grade to teach, I teach the third grade. Third grade seems like a good grade to learn lots of things, and hopefully they'll already be trained in daily classroom habits. I need to always be ready for class, so I know the first day of each semester will be the hardest. I'll be busy helping them get familiar with their new classroom, as well as showing their new books. After a few weeks, hopefully when they enter my classroom, they'll know exactly what to work on and be able to read many books each day. I believe starting with the basics is the first step in teaching. I start with teaching the basics like Chinese characters or the ABCs. Then I move into harder concepts and have quizzes to check their understanding of the lessons. If everyone scores above average, I'll be very proud of them, and we will celebrate together. Watching all my students continue to grow and improve will be my happiest moments as a teacher, and hope I can have this opportunity in the future. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, being a teacher can be a lot of work, very difficult job. But I think you would make a great teacher, Aria. For our next performance, we'll have Harry.
Hello everyone, my name is Harry. My speech is called What Happened to Teacher Mac? It started off as a normal school day, but then Teacher Mac began acting strange. Nobody knew what was going on. When the class was over, he just sat down and stared at the whiteboard. We called teacher, teacher, but he didn't respond at all. So we sat in our chairs and tried doing work by ourselves till the end of the day. When we got to school the next day, Teacher Mac was still looking at the whiteboard, wearing the same clothes from the day before. Everyone was confused, so I carefully went up to check on him. Suddenly, he turned around and made a scary noise with his mouth wide open. Everyone screamed and ran home. At night, I was still very worried about Teacher Mac, so I went back to school with my friends. We climbed over the gate and snuck into the school. It was quiet since nobody was around. We walked slowly toward our classroom. The door was locked, so we could only peek in through the window. In the dark, a guy in a doctor's coat was mixing an orange liquid with a few drops of something that looked like blood. He took the brown mixture and forced Teacher Mac to drink it. Teacher Mac started wiggling his hand and became as stiff like a robot. We found the cause of his odd behavior. It was the poison. We must help Teacher Mac, I whispered. We waited until the guy left and tiptoed into the classroom. Teacher Mac continued to sit there like a robot on sleep mode. We looked around for any clues, but there was nothing. I looked in the trash can and saw a crumpled paper ball. It was a note from Teacher Mac. He was able to write down some word before turning into a robot. It seemed to be a formula for something. Maybe it could reverse the Mr. Drink. We decided to give it a try. We went to the pharmacy and bought everything on the note and hurried back. We started mixing them and it came out looking like green goopy water. We poured the mixture carefully into Teacher Mac's mouth. A few minutes later, Teacher Mac started moving again. We asked him who the man was, but he wouldn't say a word and headed for the door. We followed him out and went back home. Hopefully, class will continue as usual tomorrow. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Harry. Teacher Mac is definitely very lucky to have you as his student. You saved him. Could you imagine if you drank something and all of a sudden you became a robot? That would be a little scary. All right. Next up, we will have Joanne.
Hello everyone, my name is Joanne and my story is called The New Neighbors. The weather was abnormally hot for April. I sat beside the window hoping to catch a cool breeze. I heard the ice cream truck come into our cul-de-sac. Mom never let us buy any. Then I heard a different sound in the close distance. It was a moving van. They were hauling furniture into the house across the street. So I shifted my attention to our new neighbors. I spotted a girl holding a stuffed yellow rabbit in her hands. I later found out her name was Dory. The next week, Mom invited Dory's family over to introduce ourselves. As Dory stepped in, she told some chocolate near my dog. No, we screamed. My brother flew over and ripped the chocolate from my dog's grip. Dogs can't eat chocolate, I shouted. She chuckled creepily. We carefully put our dog in its cage and got our toys out. She held my dog and asked why our toys were so cheap and ugly. Let's snap Barbie in half. I was furious. I ran into the hallway to tattle, but then heard Mom tell Dory's parents we only had apples for dessert. Dory's parents said apples were fruit for the poor. Mom excused herself and the bathroom door shut. I put my ear to the door and heard her sulking. The family left soon after, and we decided not to have them back for a while. Walking home the next day, I saw a sketchy man in all black. From afar, it looked like he was dragging a little girl from the playground. I looked closer. It was Dory. My angel and devil came out. I was a kind person and should do the right thing. But why help someone who was so horrible? I cleared my mind. Of course I had to help. I ran as fast as lightning to the police station. The police said he sounded like a suspect from a previous case. That man kidnapped 3 little girls for ransom and they never caught him. The police searched for Dory. And after waiting in the station for hours, I finally saw her. She ran and gave me a big hug. She told me why she'd been so rude. Nobody cared much about her, so she craved attention. Tears began to well up in her eyes. Perhaps you're kinder. Maybe you'd have more friends, I whispered. The next week, Dory was playing with someone from the neighborhood. Good luck, Dory. I smiled at her. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Joanne. I think you are a great friend. You saved Dory. It's great to have good friends, right? They can always help you whenever you need it. All right. She's really excited to come up and perform. Our next performer is Ko-chen.
Hello everyone, my name is Ko-chen. Today my topic is called The Day I Turned Invisible. Pizza! Mom made my favorite. After dinner, I got ready for bed since Queenie and I were going on an adventure the next day. After tossing and turning, I was finally able to shut my eyes only to have a crazy nightmare. Someone was whispering my name and grabbing at my ankles. I woke up, heart pounding. Was this a warning? Was our trip a dangerous idea? A strange feeling came nagging at me and I couldn't sleep at all after that. The next day, I grabbed my backpack and met up with Queenie. I told her about my terrifying nightmare. Queenie's eyes widened. She had the same exact dream. We shook it off, telling the driver to take us into the forest. The autumn leaves had started changing into beautiful reds and oranges already. We skipped along until we saw a glowing tree and started playing hide and seek. While looking for Queenie, something fell on my head. A shiny red apple rolled to my feet. It looked crisp and juicy. I couldn't resist. Don't! Queenie shouted. My body started tingling and my hands were ghostly. I looked at Queenie in fright, but she was on the other side shouting something. Coach Chen, come out! I was in front of her, but she couldn't hear or see me. I tapped her, and she shrieked loudly. I took out a notepad from my backpack and started writing. She couldn't believe it. The pen was moving by itself. Stay here. I'll be back, I wrote. While searching for answers, I saw a man sleeping in a cardboard box. I checked my backpack. Luckily, I had some cash for emergencies. He couldn't see me, but I tucked $50 into his pocket anyway. I continued walking, but found myself back where I started. It's pointless, I cried. Just then, something fell on my head again. I looked up. The apple tree had turned into an orange tree. I picked one and quickly swallowed it. Coach Chen, right back. Thank you for listening.
Chen, it is often said that if you do something nice for others, something like good luck will happen to you as well. So doing kind deeds often brings good luck to yourself. Let's all do a lot of kind deeds. We'll all be really, really lucky. Our next performer will be Lucien.
Hello everyone, my name is Lucien. My speech is A Day as an Eagle. One morning, when I was on my way to school, a man showed up and stopped me. He gave me a cup of something and asked me to drink it. I didn't know what was in the cup, so I asked, "What's that?" He suddenly pushed me against the wall and forced me to drink it. Slowly, I became smaller and smaller. Feathers were growing all over my body. I started to panic. I looked in the windows of a shop and saw an eagle staring back at me. Was this for real? I tried to call for help, but I couldn't. Only high-pitched calls came out. So I decided to flap my wings and fly away. I didn't know where to go, but I thought the best place to land would be in the forest. When I got to the forest, I saw many birds around me. I looked around for friendly faces, and then I found one. His name was Max. He let me stay in his home. I told Max about my story of how I became an eagle, and he told me that the same thing had happened to him. This was crazy. Who would do that to random people? We decided to fly around for a cruise. Well, we were circling in the sky. We saw lots of hunters entering the forest. We were scared. As we shivered in fear, we saw something flying around one of the hunters. Suddenly, the hunters collapsed and fainted under a tree. "It's Jack," shouted Max. Jack is the strongest eagle in the forest. We stayed hidden and silent until they had left. Max and I decided to go back to find the man who did this to us. When we arrived at the city, we spotted him walking down the street, so we followed him to his house. When he entered his house, we saw lots of medicine with pictures of birds on them. After, we found a bottle with a picture of human on it, so we waited for him to go sleep and swallow it quickly. As we expected, we turned back into humans again. We threw all of his weird medicine out, so he'd never be able to do that to anyone again. Thank you, everyone.
I'm so glad that you threw away all that weird medicine so nobody else has to turn into an eagle. Although, I guess if I were an eagle, I would kind of really enjoy flying all over the place, and getting to school, getting to work would definitely be a lot faster. All right, for our next performer, we'll have Melody.
Hello everyone, my name is Melody. Today, my title of my speech is The Golden Key. Dear Diary, February 20th. It was just like any other day. I put on my watch and somehow I was running late. I had no choice but to take the shortcut through the sketchy alley. I was almost at school when something flashed before my eyes. Something shimmery was at the bottom of a filthy storm drain. I reached for it. Slime clung to my hand. I peeled back muddy leaves, layer by layer, until finally, a glowing key. Till this day, I still don't know what had drawn me to the drain. But there I was, standing in a narrow alley with a mysterious key in hand. Ding! The late bell! So I quickly hooked my new key onto my keychain. After school, I admired the key for hours. Once I placed it into my drawer, a bright light started beaming. I reached for it, and a golden door emerged. I placed the key carefully into the lock. Perfect fit! I twisted the doorknob and saw a gorgeous mansion with butterflies circling around it. The scent of freshly baked croissants made my stomach grumble. And when I went in, I saw a huge feast on the counter. After gobbling everything up, I passed out from the food coma. February 21st. Bzz, bzz, my alarm! I swiftly grabbed the key and ran through the golden door, racing straight to school in my pajamas. During class, I kept thinking about who lost it. Did anyone have the same key? So many questions. That night, I wandered back and forth, holding the key up, hoping the door would reveal itself. Beep, beep. Whoa! It only appeared at midnight. So every night after, I sneaked inside and played for hours. February 28th. Mom was upset because my teacher said I kept falling asleep in class. I ran to my room and punched my pillow. Then I heard a strange chuckle. It sounded like a key was giggling at me. Stupid key! I threw it on the floor. Afterwards, the key suddenly looked different, dirty, and rusted. Then an old wooden door appeared. I opened a tiny crack and saw a frightening house with cobwebs everywhere. I took a few steps back, but then something tried to suck me in. I used all my strength and freed myself, completely forgetting about the key. I slammed the door shut, and when I went back for it, it had disappeared. And I never saw that key or door again. Thank you, everybody.
Stay awake in class. That would be good, right? I think that's a fair trade. Now your teachers won't call your mom anymore. For our next contestant, we will have Nicole.
Hello everyone, my name is Nicole and my topic is a dream I had. The light went out. I crouched down and froze. After my eyes adjusted, I pulled myself up to the window but couldn't even see a street lamp in the distance. We had lost electricity. Not just us, but the entire world. It's been 5 months since then. We've been asked to stay calm, but there is no light and barely any water left. Nobody can go anywhere. Needless to say, it has been very boring. That is, until last night, I had a very interesting dream. I came across a neon door with a welcome sign. I woke up to it and realized it was a hologram. I slowly put my hand through, feeling nervous yet excited. Whew. I was on the other side. At first, all I could see was a tiny red button. I pushed it. Suddenly, all the lights came on. I saw many animals that could walk and talk. Where am I? I asked a deer strolling by. You are in the center of the planet, the Earth in a core. We never knew humans could exist here with us. Everything was so bright, beautiful, and really hot. Was this heaven? Mr. Deer was kind enough to give me a tour, and I saw ships that could steer themselves, flying penthouses, and 3 boiling suns. Their technology was so advanced. We went underground, and that's when I saw a bright rod stuck in the middle of the ceiling. That was their famous sun rock, which powered their world. Behind it, I saw a shimmering door that looked similar to mine. Then, I suddenly remembered. We were still stuck in the darkness. I looked inside and saw jars of electricity bottled up across the room. One jar was strong enough to power half the planet. I asked if I could take one home since our country was in real trouble. I knew it was a long shot since I had nothing to offer. He told me they loved having new visitors, so if I told others about their world, he'd give me a jar in exchange. While unveiling the brightest jar, he also gave me a sun ring that could allow anyone to enter anytime. He led me back to the hologram and I went through. Once more, I carried the jar carefully and waved goodbye. When I woke up, I gave the jar to President Z. Everyone regained the power at once. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Nicole. I'm so happy that you were able to bring back electricity to all of us. Could you imagine no lights, no power, no switch? No, you don't want to imagine, you don't want to think about that? Yeah, that would be crazy if we're all just in the darkness for a really, really long time, right? All right, next up, we'll have our last contestant for grade 2, Roy.
Hello everyone, my name is Roy, and my speech is an unexpected lesson. It was a normal Monday morning. We were having science class in the lab. Everyone was excited because we were going to do a cool experiment. I mixed some chemicals together, but I wasn't really paying attention and accidentally poured too much yellow liquid into the tube. Smoke started pouring out. 1 minute later, a feather started growing from my head. Then more feathers grew all the way out to my arm and all over my body. I started to panic and try to shake them off, but the next thing I knew, I was up in the air. I realized I had 2 wings and a beak. I had turned into an owl. When my friends looked up at me, they started screaming and thought I was a monster. I flew through the classroom window and went home to find my parents, but when they saw me, they had no idea who I was. I tried to tell them, but I could only make ooh sound. Mom took a broom and tried to hit me, so I fly away. That night, I was so tired but couldn't fall asleep. I started counting sheep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I realized owls didn't sleep at night. Feeling hungry, I started looking for some food. As I was turning my head, it went all the way around. Wow, cool! I could see every little thing around me in the dark. I flew to a tree nearby and sat on it. I saw a mouse crawling on the ground below. With a quick flap of my wings, I caught it with my claw and took it back to my tree and began to swallow it, since I don't have any teeth. In the morning, I started feeling tired and finally fell asleep. When I woke up, it was 9 p.m. again. I knew it was time for breakfast. Whenever I felt hungry, I caught more animals to eat, and whenever I felt thirsty, I flew to lakes nearby and drank water. A few days had passed and I started missing my family and friends. I felt so lonely and started crying. I swore I'd listen more carefully to my teacher in the future. Get up, Roy. You are going to be late for your next class. I looked up and the whole class was staring at me. Thank God, it was just a dream. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Roy. Well, I guess you learned your lesson not to fall asleep in class, especially when you are in science class and you're doing a lot of experiments with dangerous chemicals. Well, that concludes our grade 2 portion for today's competition.